How Can We Assist You, which is being organized by the Europe Direct Office Gozo. As the host structure of Europe Direct, I'm happy to chair this webinar. The Gozo Business Chamber has been selected again to host Europe Direct for another term of 5 years. So today practically is the first activity which we are holding under this new remit. We are very enthusiastic and look forward to the coming years. We look upon this as a service to the community, something which enhances our organization. One of the main objectives of the Europe Direct network is to provide information, assist, and answer to questions related to the operation of the European Union. The aim of this webinar is for EU citizens to learn more about the EU-related information offices in Malta, the work carried out by these entities, and how can they assist each citizen further. At the end of the presentations which we have today, there will also be a dedicated question and answer session so that our speakers can answer your questions at that allocated time. Nonetheless, please feel free to post any questions or comments you may have even during the session, and we will be answering them at the end. We are going to have with us the following entities, which are EURES, Solvit, the Entitlement Unit, and the EUPA. EURES, its objective is to facilitate mobility across Europe and assist both job seekers and employers in order to reach their goal. Solvit has the role to assist both citizens and businesses in relation to their rights, emanating from their country being a member of the European Union. The Entitlement Unit, on the other hand, assists persons in relation to their European health insurance card. And the EUPA, the European Union Programme Agency, supports individuals and entities in availing themselves of funding under Erasmus+ and various educational programs. To this end, I would like to welcome our speakers today, Gilian Mallia from Eures, Mark Xerri from Solvit, Samuel Scicluna from the Entitlement Unit, and Clifford Debattista from the EUPA. To this end, I would like to introduce our first speaker today, Gilian Mallia. Gilian joined JobsPlus in 2014 as the Eures National Coordinator, after living and working abroad for a number of years. In her role, Gilian oversees the service delivery of Eures to all its client groups and ensures adherence to and implementation of the Eures regulation and other relevant EU regulations. Consequently, Gilian, I give you the floor for the first presentation today.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm going to just share my screen. Hopefully this works without any issues. There we go. So thank you, Daniel, for that introduction. Thank you to Europe Direct Gozo for hosting this event today to celebrate Europe Day. In the past, we also always used to have an event in person somewhere to celebrate this day, but at the moment, everything is restricted to online. But I'm glad that we found a way to mark the day anyways. So my name is Gilian. Daniel gave an introduction. I don't think I need to say more about me. So I just want to give you a brief overview about EURES. So EURES stands for the European Employment Service. Basically, EURES is a cooperation network between all the different countries that make up the EU and the EEA and Switzerland. We're now down to 31 this year, having had 32 countries for a long while. And the idea of EURES came about because as much as people obviously have free movement when you're part of the EU, you can move from one country to another. Different countries might still have different administrative procedures. There might still be other barriers that perhaps could impede somebody from moving from one country to the other. So EURES was set up for that reason, to facilitate the free movement in a number of different ways, which I will explain. So in a nutshell, we offer our services both to job seekers and to employers. So EURES is kind of structured at EU level. There are a number of services that are offered, and then there's obviously the services offered at national level. EURES is governed by a regulation. So the idea is that the services that we offer are standardized across each and every country. There's a number of different changes that the most recent regulation has brought about. One of which is, for example, that in the past, EURES services were mostly delivered just by public employment services. In the case of Malta, that would be JobsPlus. However, one of the changes of the new regulation is that EURES is to open up to any other private or public entities that want to join to also offer the EURES service. Another thing that EURES does at EU level is we have targeted mobility schemes. So these are financial aid schemes, not only, but I mean, there's financial assistance for people who want to move from one country to another. So both to help with the interview costs, with the relocation costs, any language training that is needed. And there's also assistance for employers for when the person kind of arrives in the country, in the host country, so to speak, in terms of induction. The targeted mobility scheme is a lot bigger. It also offers job search assistance and all of that. But I mean, one of the most important things is the financial assistance, because sometimes that is an impediment to somebody moving from one country to another. The other most important tools that we have at EU level are the portals. One of which is the Eures Portal, which is basically the main website for EURES. It is administered by the Commission. And it's encapsulated, brings together all the vacancies from all the different countries. So this morning I checked, there was 3.1 million vacancies being advertised on the Eures Portal. It's a massive resource. You can also submit your CV. You can also search for jobs. Employers can match with CVs that are there. And then there is also a whole host of information related to living and working conditions in the different countries. Every year, once a year, we provide an update, which we ask our stakeholders to participate in, about a number of aspects about living and working in Malta, for example, and each and every country does the same. So it's intended to give you a very good starting point. If you're thinking about moving to Germany, for example, to give you a good starting point of where you need to start kind of looking for a job and how the processes are. And there's also labor market information, which basically tells you where the shortages and surpluses in each country are. And finally, last but not least, there's the contact details of all the EURES advisors. At the moment, there's about 950 advisors in all the different countries. So these are people that are trained and that are there to assist mobile workers and employers with all their requests. Another really useful tool, which EURES had a long while ago. I mean, it's been, but now with the world, the way the world has become because of COVID, it's obviously a much more useful tool. It's an online job day portal. So just by the nature of EURES, because we're recruiting from different countries, it made sense to move things online. And this portal has the facility to host a job fair online. So there is videos and presentations ongoing. There's employers present who will interview people via video chat. There's all the vacancies that are advertised, etc., etc. So there's a huge number of events. Like I said, I mean, now obviously there's even more than ever before that are happening constantly. So if you want to find a job in any other country, you don't even need to leave your house at this point in time. You can do everything online. Now to come to EURES does in Malta specifically. In Malta, EURES services are still only provided by JobsPlus at this point in time. And we offer services to both job seekers and employers. Now, in terms of job seekers, we assist both people based locally who want to move abroad for a job, and also people from another country who want to move to Malta for work. And when it comes to, for example, somebody local or locally based who wants to move abroad, we obviously show them how to use the Eures Portal and all its facilities. We make links with the advisors in the countries where they want to move to. We advise them on what they need to do here before they leave, because there are certain administrative processes that they should take care of before they leave, etc., etc. In terms of incoming job seekers, which for a number of years has been the majority of the job seekers we have dealt with, we help them find a job in Malta. We advise them about all the different living and working condition information in Malta. Over the years, the amount of questions we've received is varied, you know, from where should I look to renting my apartment, how do I bring my pet iguana to Malta, to how do I register a car. There's just been a whole host of different queries. I mean, obviously people, when they move, they have different backgrounds, they have different family situations. So it's always good that they find somebody that can answer their questions and also provide a link to different entities in Malta where they need to get services as well. With regards to employers, again, I mean, we would assist both employers abroad who want to maybe recruit people from Malta, or local employers who want to recruit workers. That has been 99% of our workload for the last 7 years, certainly since I've joined, just because of the nature of the labour market in Malta, that we've been in a position of needing workers. Both workers with, for example, specific language skills in the gaming industry, for example, who will obviously only be found from other countries, but also due to skills shortages locally that we have to look out with the Maltese shores to fill. So what we do is we help employers with advertising their vacancy. We ask our colleagues in other countries to also advertise their vacancies and disseminate it even further. We filter all the CVs, we shortlist them. We also carry out matching on the Eures Portal. We take part in a lot of recruitment events and jobs fairs on the portal that I showed you earlier. We also provide a lot of information simply about employing an EU national. So sometimes employers ask us, you know, what do I need? How do I apply for a national insurance number for an Italian national, or etc., etc. So just these questions here and there. And we're also doing integration sessions, which are essentially the living and working information, but in a training format. As Maltese, we maybe know that sometimes when it comes to getting different services, you might need to go to one place and another, and it can be a bit overwhelming, let alone for somebody who doesn't know Malta, doesn't know the way things work. So we just kind of try and hold people's hands and make the transition as smooth as possible. These are our contact details. We're reachable in a variety of different ways. So I hope that gave you a good feel for what EURES Malta does, and I look forward to your questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gillian, for your very interesting presentation. It's wonderful to know how many services there are and how many times we are not aware of such services and the great work that is going on. Well done, Gillian. I now would like to introduce Mr. Mark Xerri. He's a senior principal in the Commerce Department. Mark has been a part of the public service since 2000 with a focus on small businesses and crafts. And in parallel, he has also formed part of the Malta Solvit Center since its beginning in 2004. So I would now like to give the floor to Mark for his presentation on the role of Solvit.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this invitation and for the opportunity to share our services with the participants in this webinar. So we've heard about EURES. We'll be hearing about a number of services which are offered at European level, including Europe Direct, and about the vast opportunity which EU and especially the EU internal market provides to citizens and businesses, in particular freedom of movement of persons, of workers, of products. So there's a vast opportunity, but what happens when something goes wrong? When somewhere something blocks? There's some kind of decision from a public administration within a member state, which in some way denies these rights to citizens and businesses. And that was the thought of the European Commission back in 2010 when Solvit was created. It aimed to facilitate the process of resolving problems before these get formal in the form of infringement procedures or court cases in front of the European Court for Justice. So basically, as I said, in 2010, the Solvit network was created. It is an informal problem-solving network. It's set up by a commission communication. There's no regulation or directive which sets up Solvit. And the reason behind this is to provide us with space where we can discuss and try and resolve problems in an unofficial way, a kind of out-of-court settlement. In fact, all Solvit centers are located within public administration and can thus dialogue with the competent authorities which allegedly cause infringement. During these past 17, nearly 20 years now, 17 years since Solvit Malta has been operating, there's a high resolution rate. In fact, Solvit is looked upon as a success story in itself, both by the European Commission, as well as by other partners within the Commission. And thus, it strives to improve and offer an always better service. As I said, the Commerce Department has been operating the Malta Solvit Center since its inception in 2010 with Malta's accession to the EU. So, where can Solvit intervene? First of all, Solvit can assist both citizens and businesses who find difficulties in another EU member state. It's important that these problems are related to the internal market. They are cross-border issues. Therefore, there are at least 2 member states involved in the issue. And most important of all, the problem is caused by a public administration, either a government department, a government agency, authority, or it might be also a private entity which is providing public service. For example, a train company which offers a large public service. Thus, we exclude problems which are business to business or business to consumers, which are treated by other networks, networks similar to Solvit. It's also important that there's no action, there has been no action in court about a particular case. The reason being our informal nature cannot basically stop court actions, and it would be denying the person applying and person seeking redress from getting his rights in court. So basically, when a court action is initiated, Solvit basically stops with its investigations. Where can we help? As regards citizens, we can assist in a vast area, because recognition of professional qualifications, social security, it is a very popular area where we intervene and we try and, if not resolve problems, at times we manage to clarify, because obviously problems have different natures. Sometimes it's a clear misapplication of EU law, either because directive was not implemented correctly, or the member state in particular decides to not implement that particular area, so it would be infringing the European laws. But many times it's just it might be just an issue of miscommunication. It might be a one-off misinterpretation. So there are various aspects. As I said, social security residence permits are also quite a popular area where Solvit intervenes. Also, with residence permits, have visas to third country nationals, generally who are members of a family of EU nationals, driving licenses and health insurances. Obviously, this does not stop there. There are other areas where we can intervene. In relation to businesses, then there's provision of services, freedom of movement of products, establishment of self-employed persons, VAT reimbursements. We had a couple of cases last year where there were some problems with VAT reimbursements from Portugal and France due to problems with a particular system which is used to apply for these reimbursements, and with the intervention of Solvit, this was clarified, as well as border controls. It's worth mentioning in 2020, Solvit started a new procedure in regards to mutual recognition of products, wherein we dialogue directly also with experts within the European Commission for a ruling where there might be issues on this particular area. Solvit is quite rapid in its intervention. We aim to resolve problems within 70 days, which, when one takes into consideration what a court case looks like, it's very, very rapid. And most important of all, it is a free of charge service. In short, a case is inputted in one member state, generally the member state of the person or company where the company is established. It is then accepted, and then a legal analysis is done, and via a database it is sent to the country where the alleged problem has occurred. The Solvit Center within that member state dialogues with the public administration, with the department or entity which caused this or is allegedly causing this infringement, and tries to arrive to a solution which is competent with European law. So basically, we arrive to an agreement on those aspects. In some cases, it might be a clarification. In some cases, we might need to refer the case also for further investigation by the European Commission with a formal complaint, but at least Solvit would have acted as gathering information about the specific cases. Our contacts, whoever wishes to contact us, if anyone has a problem, they can email us at solvit.malta@gov.mt or call us on 2569039. If a person has already an idea which he or she can submit the case, they can do so via the online form on the Solvit website within the European Commission. They can also obtain legal and unofficial legal advice from Your Europe Advice, which is our sister service within the European Commission, which at least provides with some guidance on European law. Generally, if there is an alleged infringement, Your Europe Advice would forward automatically the case to us. So basically, it's a one-stop shop for those people who would like to submit the case. I think this is on the whole what we do, what we try to achieve for a better Europe, a better internal market, and I look forward to any questions which there might be later on during this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unmute, Daniel. Unmute, please.
Thank you, Mark. I would like to thank you for your very interesting presentation. It's like I said to Gillian, many a times we are not aware of the many services that there are. Access to the European Union has enabled us a wider market, a wider array of services, but unfortunately, many a times we are not aware of them, and that at the end is the scope of this webinar. Thank you, Mark. And I now would like to introduce our next speaker, Samuel Scicluna from the Entitlement Unit. Samuel Scicluna is a Senior Policy Officer, Healthcare Funding. He joined the public service in 2010. After service in the diplomatic corps for over 6 years, he was appointed Senior Policy Officer and assigned to the Healthcare Funding Directorate within the Ministry for Health. He also has a master's degree in European Study and the first degree in International Relations. So I now give the floor to you, Samuel, for our next presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. Can you see my presentation, please?
Not yet. Share your screen, please.
Of course. One moment.
Okay, we can see your screen.
One moment. There seems to be an issue. Is that okay?
Not yet, no. Yes, I can see something.
Okay, okay. Right, thank you. Sorry for that. So, bonjour, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this particular event for setting it up and also for the invitation sent to us. I am Samuel Scicluna, the Senior Policy Officer from the Healthcare Funding Directorate within the Ministry for Health. Now, perhaps our directorate is perhaps more popularly known amongst the general public as the Entitlement Unit or the EU Health Entitlement Unit. So our offices are at the ground floor of the ex-outpatients building in St. Luke's Hospital in Guarda Manger. Our telephone number, in case you will have any queries, 259-2400, or you can reach us by email on our generic email entitlement.health@gov.mt. And we are open to the public from Mondays to Friday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Just a few points regarding our main functions. So what do we do? The unit was set up back in 2005, just after EU accession, as the national liaison body for healthcare benefits in kind, in terms, of course, of the EU regulations regarding social security coordination. And in this regard, we carry out our functions and duties in accordance to EU regulations 88304 and 98709. Amongst our functions, we have the issuing and registration of entitlement documents, the issuing of bills and payments for the use of such documents in terms, of course, of the above mentioned regulations. And of course, we have the customer care aspect to our work as well. So we deal with the customer's queries regarding healthcare entitlement. Of course, since we deal with lots of personal data, we are compliant with GDPR, and we are more than compliant with the GDPR because we are also ISO 27001 certified. So all that is focused on securing personal data, including with our IT systems. And on another aspect, we have also been awarded the NCPE Equality Mark. Just a few words about the European Health Insurance Card, the EHIC, and this is perhaps the service with which we are most closely associated with. So what is the EHIC? This is a free card that gives you access to medically necessary state-provided healthcare, that is public healthcare, during a temporary stay in EU countries, along with Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, under the same conditions and at the same costs, or free in some countries, as people insured in that country. The EHIC is issued by the national health insurance provider. In our case, for Maltese citizens and for those residents in Malta, it is issued by the Entitlement Unit. Just a few important notes. The EHIC is not an alternative to travel insurance. Okay, we encourage the public to have private insurance as well. It does not cover any private healthcare costs, such as repatriation flights or even lost or stolen property. It does not cover your costs if you are traveling for the express purpose of obtaining medical treatment. So it does not cover planned medical treatment, and it does not guarantee free services. Why? Because each country's healthcare system is different, even within the European Union. Just a few words about the S1 process. So the S1 form allows you to register for healthcare if you live in a new country, but you are insured in a different one of those countries. So this is typically the case. For instance, you have pensioners retiring abroad, but also useful for migrant workers or posted workers, as well as their family members. So for example, you have the family members of migrant workers who have stayed in their country origin, but are now covered by the social security insurance of the country where their family member now works. If you plan to stay in Malta for longer, for example, as a posted worker or a pensioner, then you should get an S1 form from your country and register it with us here at the Entitlement Unit. After you register the S1 form, you will then be provided with a Certificate of Entitlement, SEOE. We can here see a specimen of the Certificate of Entitlement. And you can present the COE every time you need to access public healthcare services. Just a few words regarding the entitlement card in terms of the healthcare convention between Malta and the United Kingdom. This is also known as the RHA entitlement card, the Reciprocal Health Agreement entitlement card, and this entitles holders to healthcare services in both local public healthcare institutions on both an inpatient and outpatient basis, as well as other specialist services provided for Maltese nationals. Just a quick note, nota bene, the RHA card holders will not be entitled to treatment abroad, including the UK. They'll not be entitled to the EHIC or to long-term care and other things and services provided for under the Social Security Act and other legislation. And here we can also see a specimen of both the front and the back portions of the RHA entitlement card. Now, the payment section, as mentioned earlier, one of the main functions of the entitlement unit is to issue payments to and request payments from other EU member states, in compliance, of course, with the financial provisions laid out in EU Regulation 98709. Therefore, the payment section are also a very important part of our team. They also validate payment claims to entitlement citizens for any medical expenses which have been incurred abroad during a temporary stay. The payment section also provides the mandatory financial or statistical reports within the legal framework of EU regulations, for example, reports requested by the EU Commission, as well as those requested by other entities of the public service of Malta. Just a few final words regarding our online presence. So just a few months ago in January, we have launched a new website, an interactive website, which enables the citizen to apply for the EHIC or the RHA card. So everything is online now, and also to check for one's entitlement to public healthcare. The website also features information regarding public health entitlement in Malta, There's a vast list of frequently asked questions, which we encourage the public to consult, of course, and also various other news items. And as part of the public service of Malta's Services, a mobile application has also been launched, which is also available for both Android and iOS system. And this can be downloaded both as a standalone or through Malta's apps. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for your very interesting presentation. My remark earlier applies here today. We have various rights also as European Union citizens, and at the end, that's one of the scope that we are celebrating Europe Day. This year we can't do physical, but we can do a physical presence. But celebrating Europe Day is also about celebrating our rights, about knowing our rights and using them. So well done to all our speakers. So I take the opportunity to introduce our last speaker from today, from the European Union Program Agency, Clifford Debattista, who is Acting Program Coordination and Communications Manager. Clifford Debattista has been working with the agency for the last 7 years and has served in various positions. He started off as an administration officer and advanced to communications officer. Presently, he is acting program coordination and communications manager, managing a team of another 3 officers, whereby each officer specializes into particular sectors. So I now give the floor to you, Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Borg, for hosting us today. I may start sharing the presentation so that I can briefly describe what services do we offer. So, services offered by the European Union Programs Agency. Basically, we'll be starting off with the mission and vision of the agency, whereby our mission is to promote and implement and also manage the Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps programs at national level with sound and efficient management of EU funds for successful implementation of the programs in terms of quality and impact. Our vision is to inspire lifelong learning, knowledge, skills, and personal development by facilitating EU funding opportunities of the earlier mentioned programs in both Malta and Gozo. So our duties are mainly deal with managing of Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps program in Malta on behalf of the European Commission. Therefore, EUPA is recognized by the Commission as the Maltese National Agency, in short, MTNA. You may also wish to know that European Union funds are classified into 2 strands. There's the centralized and the decentralized. As an agency, we are responsible for the decentralized actions, which are smaller scale funds managed by national agencies in the respective countries. On the other hand, it's very important to know that centralized actions involve larger budgets and are managed directly by the Commission at EU level. Even the way the application for fundings are submitted, decentralized actions are applied for with the Maltese National Agency, and centralized actions can be applied for directly with the Commission. Let's have a brief overview of the Erasmus Plus program. Basically, this is the EU program in the fields of education, training, and youth and sport for the period 2021-2027. We just had the launch of the new program a few weeks ago. There are 4 main priorities in the Erasmus Plus program. Basically, inclusion and diversity. The Commission has been emphasizing a lot on this aspect. It was already important in the previous program, but now it has been given a lot of importance. In fact, also with regards to inclusion and diversity, the Commission published a set of barriers which Erasmus Plus projects need to target. Another priority applicable across all sectors is the digital transformation. EU has been targeting digital transformation for quite some time, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the importance of focusing on digitalization continues to be emphasized, and we also experienced firsthand the importance of being digitally literate. Environment and fight against climate change. In fact, the Commission is also promoting greener travel while applicants go on mobilities, and also participation in democratic life. Education and training education, training and youth, together with sport, are key areas which support the personal and professional development of citizens. High quality inclusive education and training, together with informal and non-formal learning, are crucial in equipping people with skills which are required for meaningful participation in democratic life and also successful transition into the labor market. In order to continue building on the success of the previous program, 2014-2020, this new program also focuses on providing an increased number of opportunities both to the participants and also to the organizations, thus making EU funds more accessible to all. So the general objectives of the program, mainly the Erasmus Plus program supports through lifelong learning the educational, professional and personal development of people, education, training, youth and sport in Europe and beyond, with the aim of contributing to sustainable growth, quality jobs and social cohesion, to driving innovation and to strengthening European identity and active citizenship. The program is also a key instrument in order to continue building the so-called European education area, which is another important aspect of the new program. And together with this, there's also the focus on underlying sectoral agendas, including advancing the youth policy cooperation under the EU Youth Strategy 2019-2027. We'll have a look at the specific objectives of the Erasmus Plus program. Firstly, you may wish to know that cooperation, quality, inclusion, equity, excellence, and creativity are common to all the 3 objectives which we are seeing over here. The first objective deals with the promotion of learning mobility of individuals and groups, as well as innovation at the level of organizations active in the field of education and training. The second objective focuses on learning mobility of sport staff, together with the innovation at the level of sport-related organizations and sport policies. And the last objective of the Erasmus Plus program focuses on the promotion of non-formal and informal learning mobility in order to promote active participation among young people. It also deals with the level of organizations active in the youth field and also related policies. So an overview of the key actions. The Erasmus Plus program is divided into 3 main key actions. Key action 1 deals with the mobility for learners and staff, whereby individuals and organizations from higher education, school education, vocational education and training, adult education and youth may avail themselves of mobility opportunities and training abroad. There are also youth participation activities, which encourage the active involvement of young people in the democratic life, and also discover EU activities. Key action 2, on the other hand, focuses on strategic partnerships. Mainly, these are divided into partnerships for cooperation, comprising cooperation partnerships and small-scale partnerships. There are also partnerships for excellence, which are made up of the following sectors: Centers for Vocational Excellence, Erasmus Plus Teacher Academies, and Erasmus Mundus Actions. We also have the partnerships for innovation, capacity building in the field of youth, and not-for-profit European sport events. Finally, key action 3 mainly deals with the support for policy development and cooperation, and is mainly made up of the European Youth Together and Jean Monnet actions. The Erasmus Plus program has 5 sectors which are applicable to Key Action 1 and Key Action 2. Mainly these are the adult education, and when we say adult education, we are not referring to the usual notion of adults, but we are referring to individuals who did not have the opportunity to complete basic schooling. So mainly we deal with migrants, ex-convicts, also people who are low digitally skilled, and people in at-risk situations. And mainly adult education deals with upskilling and basic, deals with basic skills. Vocational education and training. This sector particularly deals with upskilling the people with the required skills according to the needs of the labor market. School education mainly deals with school institutions and management, and also students themselves. Higher education and youth. The European Solidarity Corps program is the other program which we manage at the agency. As you may note, the priorities of the European Solidarity Corps program are quite similar to the Erasmus Plus program. Mainly, as we already saw, there's inclusion and diversity, digital transformation, environment and fight against climate change, and participation in democratic life. But also the European Solidarity Corps focuses on the promotion and support in the field of health. Mainly this program aims to enhance the engagement of young people and organizations in accessible and high quality solidarity activities, named primarily volunteering. And this program aims to provide young people, including those also with fewer opportunity, with easily accessible opportunities in order to engage themselves in solidarity activities. This, in turn, induces positive societal changes, both in Europe and beyond, while improving and properly validating the competences of participants, and also facilitating their continuous engagement as active citizens within their community. With regards to the with regards to the European Solidarity Corps programs, there are 3 possible types of activities, mainly volunteering projects, volunteering teams in high priority areas, and solidarity projects. A brief look at our services with regards to the projects, to the programs which we manage. As an agency, we are there to offer full support from the early steps of the projects, literally from the very beginning till the very end of the project life cycle through sector dedicated teams. In fact, as Mr. Borg said in the introduction, we have the communications team is made up of another 3 officers, whereby each and every officer has a specific sector, and also this is reflected in the way the program management office is set up. There's a program management office for every sector. We provide further information on our programs, whereby we help potential applicants with project ideas. We also provide project outlines, whereby these project outlines are basically simplified forms, whereby the applicant writes down his or her project idea, including the partners and areas which will be tackled in the project, as well as the needs which made him come up with this project idea. Once this project outline is filled in, it is submitted to the communications unit, whereby we set up a one-to-one meeting with the applicant, and we check that the priorities are well addressed. We give suggestions for improvement, and also we check for the eligibility of the project. And we can also provide guidance on for which sector to apply, because each and every sector has its own specifications. We also work very closely with Service EUPA of Malta, whereby we both offer guidance on the project, but Service EUPA of Malta are also able of providing assistance while filling in the application itself. Needless to say that we collaborate together via internal meetings and also via participation in events which we hold. So a brief overview of what happens after one submits an application. So first and foremost, once an application is submitted, we check for eligibility. Okay, over here I'm referring to the actual application and not the project outline form. The actual application comes after the project outline form, and is filled in with much more detail than the form, which I already mentioned before. So once the application is submitted, we check for eligibility and forward it to external independent experts for assessment. Following this process, an internal selection committee is held. Then the selected projects are provided with an agreement, which is signed by both parts, and the pre-financing is issued. Once this process is finalized, the projects proceed with the kickoff meeting by the officer which will be monitoring the project according to the sector in particular, and this officer remains responsible of the project from the very beginning till the very end, and monitors the implementation of the project in a continuous way. Once the project is finalized, a final report is presented to the agency, and this report is then assessed, and upon correct implementation, determination for the grant is issued. In case of unsuccessful projects, and over here I'm referring to reserved, rejected, and ineligible projects, it's good to keep in mind that we are available and we encourage applicants to come forward and set a one-to-one meeting in order to discuss feedback, discuss room for improvement, and also we encourage them to resubmit in the following rounds. As an agency, we also participate in a variety of events, mainly information sessions, whereby we deliver the latest updates from the Commission with regards to the programs we manage, and the priorities of the programs themselves. We also participate in one-to-one meetings, both with beneficiaries and potential applicants and also stakeholders. We participate in career fairs such as iChoose and the Career and Research Expo, which are usually held at MCAST and University of Malta and Junior College. We participate in Freshers Week, then again, which are also held at University of Malta, Junior College and MCAST. On a yearly basis, we hold the grant award ceremony, whereby successful applicants during that year are presented with the agreement for the project. We also promote platforms which support Erasmus Plus, mainly Erasmus Plus Project Results Platform, Salto Platform, EPAL, European Platform for Adult Learning in Europe, eTwinning Platform, and School Education Gateway. These are very important platforms whereby users can look for projects, past projects, and get ideas, and also look for partners. We also participate in radio and TV interviews, although to a much lesser extent, and we also produce articles or advertorials across different media with the aim of promoting the programs. Finally, we also manage the Europas Network. I imagine everyone has heard of the Europas Network. Basically, it offers you the possibility of filling in a standardized format of a CV with step-by-step guidance, and this gets us to liaise very closely with Euroguidance Malta and Malta Further and Higher Education Authority, which are responsible for Euroguidance and EQF accordingly. We liaise together, obviously, because our work comes together when we go for certification, which is presented in the Europas CV. With regards to Europas, we offer technical help to users when they find difficulty in filling in the CV from the online platform. And we also provide information sessions, CV writing sessions to secondary school students aged 14 to 15. These are very interactive sessions full of fully relatable examples, and such sessions are available upon request. Any questions? Over here we can see our telephone numbers for the general queries related to higher education and schools, queries related to adult education and vet, and queries related to youth. The email address communications.eupa@gov.mt. And may I also remind you to visit our website and subscribe in order to be kept informed of any upcoming info session with regards to Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps. And may I also take the opportunity to remind you to like and follow our Facebook page, because over there from time to time we promote several short-term training courses, which are an excellent opportunity for newcomers to eventually participate in Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps. That's all from my end. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. We're running on time, but we will be taking any questions that the participants might have. We have already a question here, which is directed on the Erasmus program. Basically, two questions which came forward. What is the best way forward for a student undergoing job shadowing abroad to get the necessary contacts to affect placements? And does the UK still honor the Erasmus agreement? So the first question is, what is the best way forward for a student undergoing job shadowing abroad to get the necessary contacts to affect placement, and whether the UK still honors the Erasmus agreement?
Okay, it depends with regards to the student undergoing a job shadowing mobility abroad. It depends whether the student attends MCAST, ITS, or University of Malta. In case the student attends one of the mentioned institutions, the procedure is that the student approaches the international office of the organization which he attends, and they can provide further information on the dates when applications are issued from their end, and also when it's the best time for the student to do the job shadowing, because the load of the academic subjects has to be taken into consideration. If the student or the person, the particular individual is part of an organization, I suggest that he or she speaks to the director, because the way Erasmus Plus funds are set up, it's not possible for an individual to go on a mobility on his or her own. Every application for funds has to be submitted through an organization or a company or an entity. With regards to the second question, UK is now considered as a partner country. This is also indicated in the program guide itself, and thus it is still available to include UK, but there are certain limitations. Such limitations are explained in the guide itself.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Still no further questions on this side. We are running on time, but I would like to close with a comment with an ending comment from each of you. Basically, these are related also to concerns we are following here. So I'll start with Gillian. Perhaps Gillian, a closing remark on how are you seeing the labor market evolving during the pandemic?
Yep, certainly. Yes, COVID has certainly changed our labour market, and it's going to continue changing it. I mean, I think COVID has essentially accelerated digital growth in ways that we never thought possible. In terms of mobility, I mean, of course, there was a period where our borders were closed. It was difficult for mobility, but in reality, I've been quite surprised to see that mobility is still very much happening. People are still moving from different, countries to another, perhaps now even more so because perhaps in other countries the situation is a bit worse than it is here, for example, so they move for opportunities. But certainly going forward, we look forward to mobility coming back to the way it was. We look forward to the labour market becoming more digital, becoming more green, and certainly new occupations coming on that perhaps now we're not even aware of, and in 10 years' time they will be the norm. So yes, in closing, thanks for having me. Happy Europe Day to everybody. It's a really fantastic union to be part of. There are so many opportunities that are offered to us. So I encourage everybody to make use of all the services that are available. Thanks.
Thank you, Gillian. I now thank you very much for your intervention. It's very good. The digital age has brought us together in such, perhaps even here we are doing the webinar here from Gozo. The speakers are from Gozo, but we are brought together through this digital platform. And in the end, the digital transformation is one of the key components where the EU would like us to move forward. Passing on to Mark. Mark, a comment at the end. You mentioned, for example, the out-of-court settlement. With your experience, with your vast experience in this end, have you seen this process effective here in Malta?
Yes, obviously being quite a small country and relatively at the periphery of the EU, our caseload is relatively small. However, yes, we managed to have some good cases where we managed to resolve both issues which were created by Maltese entities and with whom we have managed to dialogue and arrive to a solution. Also, in some cases, not just an issue where only the client's issue was resolved, but there was also a change either in policy or in regulation. Ironically, two of these cases were with Entitlement Unit some years ago, where there was a change of policy in terms of the duration of the EHIC card. And one was with JobsPlus, that at that time it was still EDIC, regarding job permits of EU nationals. There was some clarification, and it was a success story both for us because we arrived with dialogue with the entities. It was extremely important that they recognized our position and were really open to our points, but also obviously to clients and to a better functioning of the internal market at the end of the day. So yes, I think we manage quite well to bring forward some practical solutions in relation to internal market rights.
Thank you very much, Mark. I now pass on to Samuel. Closing remarks, Samuel. Perhaps how do you think? How do you see European citizens here in Malta making use of the European Health Insurance Card? Are they seeing its benefit, its full benefit?
First of all, I would like to thank once again the organizers for the invitation. Just, yes, a quick final word. We have remained open throughout all of the pandemic for our clients since March of last year. And we also upgraded, as I had mentioned, we upgraded our online presence. Now, hopefully, as we move out of the stages of the pandemic and everything returns to some sort of normality, we will continue seeing a rise in applications for the EHIC. And of course, we will continue. We are ready to be there to continue giving these services, of course, to our client. And as I said as well, the EHIC card is perhaps the service with which we are most closely associated with. And happy Europe Day to everyone.
Thank you, Samuel. Last word for Clifford. We know that Erasmus is one of the most popular programs. As we are part of the European Union, we are celebrating Europe Day. One of the main issues here is solidarity, unity. How have you seen in your experience throughout these years? Are youths and organizations, educational institutions seeing the real opportunity that Erasmus presents to them?
Yes, I would say that those who have the capacity are making use of both Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps funds at maximum. And therefore, solidarity is also on the increase through such funds, and also education opportunities are also on the increase. The main issue here is that due to the size of the organizations in Malta, some of them find it quite difficult to implement projects because unfortunately they don't have the capacity to run such projects. From our end, we do our best to offer support, but obviously we don't have the capacity either to support everyone who hasn't got the capacity but intends to do a project. So unfortunately, we are still lagging from that aspect. We are in continuous discussions with the ministries involved to provide assistance. And that let's hope that at least in the future we continue to see an increase in applications. Though I must say that we are very happy with the number of applications during 2020, which superseded those in 2019 with quite a good number. Let's hope that we continue on with the same pace, even though we experienced some stumbling because of COVID. Obviously, our projects are underlying mobility, and therefore issues which cropped due to COVID discouraged participants. Unfortunately, there are also some participants who still have quite some budget from past projects. Therefore, it's not possible for them to apply during this round. But we hope that the situation gets to normal as soon as possible so that we can continue with our targets. May I take the opportunity to remind the public of the open deadlines. For Key Action 1, it's 11th May at noon, and for Key Action 2, it's 20th May at noon, and for European Solidarity Corps, it's 28th May at noon. If there's someone who would like further information about the program, you may wish to contact us, and we'll gladly help. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Clifford. We now come to the end of our webinar. I would like to thank you all for accepting our invitation today. I sincerely hope that this webinar has been fruitful to those all who have participated. May I remind you that it was not only those who registered, but also we were transmitting it live on our social media, and it will still be available for all those who would like to see it, and we will also make it available on our YouTube, on the Gozo Business Chamber's YouTube channel. I would like to thank our speakers, Gilian Mallia, Xerri, Samuel Scicluna, and Clifford Debattista. I would also like to thank Richard Grech, our technical coordinator, for his help and assistance throughout. A final and special note of thanks goes to Marlene Muscat, who is the manager of the Europe Direct Office Gozo and who has made all of this possible. Thanks for her hard work, especially during this period in trying to reach out even during these difficult times. The chamber is the host structure, and we as a chamber are glad that we are able to do our part for the community throughout the service. So happy Europe Day to everyone, and thank you very much for following us.